Hello. Um, Hi. Good evening, good afternoon, depends on whatever time you're watching this video. So, I was going through some resources online for UPSC Civil Services optional for psychology, and I realized that there are not a lot of resources available for people that are free of cost. Yes, there are some toppers who have given their talks and they've shared their insights about their journey and everything about it. But there's nothing substantial out there that is telling you how to study this subject. And even though I'm not a civil services aspirant, I thought that I could share my knowledge of psychology with people who are preparing for the exam or with anybody who has an interest in learning the discipline. So, before we begin, I would like to give you an introduction of who I am. So, I have done my bachelor's in psychology from Jesus and Mary College, University of Delhi. Then, I did my master's in applied clinical psychology from University of Delhi, Department of Applied Psychology. And currently, I'm a psychologist, and I feel that teaching is a passion of mine. And I thought, what's the best way to test it out is by helping others and by putting things on YouTube. And I would just like to put a tiny disclaimer that whatever that I'm going to share on this channel is to the best of my knowledge. I have used empirical sources, good reference book, dignified research papers. But if I make a mistake here and there, I am very sorry for that, and I would help it if somebody pinpoints it out in the comments or personally messages me. And I feel that we should continue with next. So here I've found this very beautiful image and like just a basic definition of what psychology is. That it's a discipline that studies mental states and processes and behavior in humans and animals. So in simple terms, you can say psychology वो चीज़ है जो एक किसी इंसान की मेंटल स्टेट्स में आपका कॉग्निशन आ गया इमोशन आ गया थिंकिंग मेंटल प्रोसेसेस and behavior is something that's on the outside. You can see it. You can see that maybe you're behaving in an angry manner when you're frustrated, or you're being violent, or you're behaving in a very kind manner to your friend who needs you right now. And I think that just the prelims exam just got over, and I think that some of you would, pass it with flying colors, and others would start from the beginning. And if anybody who is here to, begin their preparation for psychology, and you're not from a psychology background, I think this quote speaks volumes that allow yourself to be a beginner. No one starts off being excellent. I feel that, an expert at everything was a novice once. We have to accept that and happy learning. So the optional paper is divided into two parts as just like the other UPSC civil service exams. So your part 1 is basically comprising of theories, psychological theories, right, such as introduction to psychology, methods of psychological research, biological basis of behavior, sensation, perception, attention. We will go about this like in the coming YouTube videos. Yeah, yellow is actually a much better one for highlighting it. Sorry for that. Yeah, so introduction to psychology is basically understanding what all comes under the domain of psychology, the different schools of thoughts, then why psychology is a science, then methods of psychology is again, when you get into research for psychology, because it is an empirical science at the end of the day, and for something to be empirical in nature it has to be proved, it has to have some sort of research. And then again, research is not just experimental, you also have qualitative research, which basically focuses on understanding human behavior, human experiences, something that cannot be quantified. Then we have biological basis of behavior. Now this is something that most people have an issue with, because वो एक होता है राय का पहाड़ बना लेते हैं हम बस पहले ही सोच लेते हैं एक चीज़ बहुत डिफिकल्ट है एंड देन वी डोंट गिव इट अ शॉट. बट दिस यूनिट इज़ एक्चुअली वेरी स्कोरिंग बिकॉज इट इज़ वेरी फैक्चुअल and it's also very interesting to understand how your brain works. Then we have sensation, perception, attention. It is kind of related to this unit. I will not say completely, but in order to perceive something. In this unit, we will talk about a little bit of biology, like human ear function, eye function, etc. Then learning, memory, forgetting. I think every UPSC aspirant can like maybe relate to it, because you learn, you memorize, and you tend to forget things. So jokes apart, in this unit, we're going to talk about different theories of learning, different theories of memory and forgetting. Now, for anybody who's new to the discipline of psychology, whatever we learn in this first unit, we're going to expand on it slowly in all of these other units. So this is just an introduction, like the title says, and then we're going to expand on them little. Then we have motivation and emotion. I think this is something we go on in every day of our life. We experience emotions, we experience motivation. Like, okay, maybe today was not a good day, but you tell yourself, I'm not going to give up. You're motivated, you're disciplined. I'm going to wake up again tomorrow morning. I'm going to study. I'm going to give my tests. I'm not going to lose hope. Then we have personality theories. Personality theories is basically to understand why some people, uh, you know, are a certain way. Some people are introverts, some people are extroverts, some people are gregarious, some people are etc. So we're going to understand different theories given by different theorists. But in personality theories also, we're going to discuss about what the history and how Freud described personality, how behaviorists describe it, and then what are the humanistic aspects, etc. Then attitudes, values, and interests. Now, this is something that kind of comes under the larger umbrella of social psychology, which is more important for Unit 2. But here we're going to talk about attitude change, cognitive dissonance, values, and etc. Now, language and communication is again a bit technical, because we're going to talk about Noam Chomsky's theory, then Vygotsky's theory, etc. We'll get to it when we come to it. And then issues in modern psychology. Now, this is again kind of more important for your paper 2, but we're going to lay down the foundations for it in paper 1. We're going to talk about stress and health, like psychoimmunology. Then we're going to talk about cyber safety in it. Then we're going to talk about health psychology, etc. Then paper 2. So from my analysis of both of these papers, so paper 1 in psychology is not that scoring is what toppers say, because it's very factual. You cannot present it as a unique thing, because what is Freud's theory is Freud's theory. You cannot change it. Just an example. But what my main aim, and maybe what your main aim should be, is to understand these concepts and maybe present them in a very beautiful way in your exam, like through flowcharts, by presenting new examples in order to make it more scoring. Now, this is where a major chunk of toppers' marks were extra, because in this you can score more marks, as simple as that, because this is more applied. You can present unique examples, you can relate it to your current affairs. Like, for example, in the topic of human development, you can talk about some government schemes that they've introduced for young children, like for school going children, for their education. You can also add the example of new education policy, that it's putting more importance on skill. Then on old age also, if there is a new scheme for old people, like there are more loans given to them for their betterment, or maybe some health schemes and health insurance coverage that are given to old people. Then psychological testing and statistics, this is something that a lot of people will find difficult. But then again, I feel if you have a say no attitude, you will not be able to do anything in life. But this is very factual, and if it's factual, that means it's scoring. So we're gonna get to it when we come to it. Then again, human development is basically lifespan psychology, that how a child is when it grows up until your old age, what are the different stages of life. Then abnormal psychology is basically psychopathology. You talk about different clinical disorders in this, like depression, anxiety, OCD, etc. And you're going to refer to books like the Diagnostic Statistical Manual and International Classification of Disorders. Then, if a clinical psychologist's work is to diagnose and understand mental disorders, their work is also to help in treating them by using therapeutic approaches. Now, again, therapeutic approaches, you're going to talk about how therapy is in modern times. Like, there are new therapies like REBT, narrative therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. Then we have cognitive behavior therapy. And then we have traditional therapies like psychodynamic therapy, the humanistic therapy, existential therapy. We're going to talk about all of that in this unit. Then we have work psychology. Work psychology is organizational psychology. Here you will study about teamwork, you will study about leadership, um, work life balance, how do you keep employees motivated, stuff like that. So we're going to discuss different theories by different organizational psychologists here. Then community psychology is about poverty, health, education. I think that this is something that can overlap with your other GS papers because it's a very broad term where you have to discuss about poverty, health, education. I think it's very, the name of the chapter gives it. Then applied social psychology. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, that there's a larger umbrella of social psychology. We will come here to talk about aspects of social psychology, like what is group behavior, what is conformity, what is obedience, and other social examples. Then we come to psychological problems of marginalized groups. This is somewhat related to this unit. And psychology and social integration and developing positive behavior. I think the name of these unit kind of gives the gist of what we will discuss here. Now, I would want to come that why would you want to choose this as your optional? It's kind of a given that people who have already done their masters in psychology or their bachelors in psychology or are medical students, it's kind of easy for them to grasp on some terms because they know some of the concepts already, and for them it would be a quick revision. And as paper 2 is more technical, as you have to have some sort of critical thinking in order to write those answers, they can better handle it. But that does not mean that if you're not a psychology graduate or you do not have a basis in it, that does not mean you can't do it. I have seen videos of toppers who did not have psychology. They were engineers, they were science students in school, and they have passed the civil services exam with flying colors with psychology as their optional. So it's easy to understand. I would not say all concepts, but with some hard work, it's easy to understand the concepts. Then they're related to human behavior, mind, and society. So I think society is something you learn in one of your GS papers. Like the social aspect of it is society related. Then learning, motivation, personality, you can relate to them. You can, of course. Then you can use real life examples and answers. Then how does studying psychology as a part of your mains or maybe just browsing through it help you with your preparation? So the GS paper of ethics, you can use psychological terms like cognitive dissonance, altruism, empathy, value development to improve your answers. We'll get to these terms once we begin with other videos. But altruism means that you know what your own good, that you want to do something positive to help others. Cognitive dissonance is when you don't agree with your own views. Then your essay paper, it can give you, like, that's what I know, that it can give you different topics that you have to write on. So learning about some concepts here might help you. Then in your interview and personality test, you're more self-aware, you can stay calm under pressure. I would not 100% agree with that, because just because you're learning about something, it's not 100% that you can implement it. But maybe there's a 50% chance that you feel more confident in your own abilities, because you might develop a sense of self-awareness by studying psychology. And maybe having this as your optional can help you write more structured answers. But I think that at the end of the day depends on your practice and your grasp of concepts. Then there are some pros and cons of choosing this subject as your optional. It has a compact syllabus compared to PSIR and geography. Yeah, you have two papers, you have a standard set of books, you follow that, you read that, and you're done. You don't have to memorize like a vast syllabus. Like, I think in history you have different components of it that you have to learn and revise again and again. It's high scoring if you have clarity and you write really good crisp answers. You don't have to mug up. That's true. If you understand a concept, you can explain it in your own terms if you remember the keywords. It's also useful in life, aside this career path. Like, by understanding personality, motivation, you might develop some sort of self-awareness and can implement it in your personal relationships. It's not coaching dependent. There are people who take coaching for it, and I feel that one should do what they feel is right for them. Um, but there are many toppers I've seen who have just taken maybe coaching for answer writing practice, but have studied everything on their own. But then there are some people who don't like statistics or neurobiology. But if they feel like they're not comfortable with it, it's not worth it, because they both are a part of both paper 1 and paper 2. There are lack of free quality resources, and I think that's why I've made a small attempt to help people in that sphere here. Yeah, you need to have answer writing practice. That's why there are many reputed coachings that we'll discuss later, who provide answer writing practices. And maybe in the future, I can help you out with answer writing practices as well. Then diagram and flowcharts are also useful, but I think with enough practice, you can make those. So I don't think I would count that as a con. Then who should choose it, right? Now you know something about the syllabus, you know something about the pros and cons, but is it the right fit for you? You should choose it if you're interested in people, behavior, emotions. Like, you think you have enough critical thoughts and you can think deeply. You want a manageable and scoring option. And you don't want to spend like 8 hours on one subject, I would say, because I feel that your exam is in the nick of time. You have to be very, flexible, and you have to be very proactive. And I feel like that psychology is a good option. But if you feel like just because somebody else did it, or because you feel that it's a new subject and people say it's coding and you want to take it, then it's not the right fit for you, because at the end of the day, you have to study it. Others don't. And if you feel like you can't commit to it, then you should not take it, because at the end of the day, optional paper is something that makes or breaks your rank. And I'm sure you want to make it. So I think we've already discussed the paper, and this is basically your weightage of questions. We're going to discuss this further. Right now, I don't think I have enough material to tell you what's the weightage like. I think we'll discuss it as we're covering the units. So I want to talk about sources. I mean, if you want to watch my videos, that's really nice. But if you feel like you're more of a self study person, I would just like to tell you what are the best sources that you have for this paper. NCRTs are good. NCRTs are good if you do not have a strong background in psychology, do not have in bachelor's. It's good for basics. It's good for learning, memory, perception, intelligence. It's also very good for social psychology. I personally love that chapter from the 12th NCRT. It's a really good chapter, very crisp and very fun examples, I would say. It's not enough, but it's good for beginners. But it has a lot of Indian examples. You would not find that in books like Barron, Kickrelli, or other books. It's good for Indian examples. Barron is good. Barron is full of illustrations, full of pictures. So if you are a visual learner who likes a lot of color, stick to Barron. But Barron is not that detailed. But if you already have a background in psychology, I would say skip Barron. Come to Morgan and King or Kickrelli. Then Samak Swen sir has a book for paper 2. I've gone through that book. I would say there are a few mistakes in it, but those mistakes are not that grave. You can still study from it. I would say that there are better examples, but you can totally go ahead for his book. So there are coaching materials also in the market which are paid. Okay, so there is Beautiful Mind IAS that a lot of toppers rely on, because I've seen their videos. They give you a lot of answer writing practices. So once you feel that you've done your syllabus and you want to like go for answer writing, I would say this is your source. Then Vajiram and Ravi use Satish Pathak sir's note, which are, I think you can find them in the markets in Delhi. I'm not sure though if they are copyrighted or not. I'm just telling you what I've read on internet, Reddit, while I was doing my research. But I have a respect for all of these teachers, obviously, and the students that have used their resources. But I feel that not everything should be monetized. That is why I'm trying to make these videos here. So at the end of the day, you have to realize what fits best for you. If you feel like you're somebody who wants coaching, who wants notes served to you, crisp notes, go ahead, take coachings. At the end of the day, it's all personal choice. So now the thing is that you know what to do, you know how to proceed by it, but somehow you need to have a correct amalgamation of everything. So If you don't have a basis in psychology, use NCRT and Barron, build your basics. Then you come to paper 2 for Swenser's PDFs and books. I think his book is available on Amazon too if you want to buy it from there. For answer writing, you can refer to Satish Pathak sir's answers because they are in a very good structure. Or you can join a test series if you can afford one. And even if you can't, I will try my best to explain everything about like how much time I can commit to this. And if you really feel like you want some more resources, please put it down in the comment box. I will reply and I will try my best to get back to each and every one of you. And yeah, that's it for this video. And this is just like a basic thing why I'm doing this. I am not an aspirant, I'm just a psychologist who's just starting. And I know how hard it is to find good resources, free resources, for a subject which is still budding in this field. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for your support. If you liked it, please subscribe to it and drop a kind comment and any feedback that you have. Thank you.